Is it the name, the history, or the way it represents power and success? Rolex is more than just a watch, it is a symbol. Wearing a Rolex tells the world that a person values time, precision, and achievement. But Rolex did not earn its legendary status overnight. It took over a century of innovation, bold risks, and record-breaking accomplishments. Rolex has reached the top of Mount Everest, explored the deepest parts of the ocean, and adorned the wrists of Hollywood icons, race car drivers, world leaders, and astronauts. But how did it all start? How did a small watch company grow into the most famous and desired luxury watch brand in the world? Stay with me until the end, and you will uncover the secrets of Rolex that most people don't know. You will follow its journey through time from a simple idea to a global icon. You will see how Rolex survived wars, set records, and became the ultimate symbol of success. Let's begin the story of Rolex, from its birth to the watches that changed history, the birth of a legend. Let's explain in more details how Rolex started. The story of Rolex is not just about watches, it is about vision, determination, and changing the way people tell time. It all started in 1905 in London, England, with a young German entrepreneur named Hans Wilsdorf. Back then, men carried pocket watches, and wristwatches were considered fragile, inaccurate, and mainly for women. But Wilsdorf had a dream. He believed that one day wristwatches would become the future. He wanted to create a watch that was not just stylish, but also highly precise, something that people could rely on anywhere, anytime. Wilsdorf was not a watchmaker. He was a businessman with big ideas. Along with his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, he started a company called Wilsdorf and Davis. They imported high-quality Swiss watch movements, placed them in elegant cases, and sold them under different names. But something was missing, a strong brand identity. One day, while riding a horse-drawn carriage through the busy streets of London, Wilsdorf tried to come up with the perfect name for his watches. It had to be short, memorable, and easy to pronounce in any language. After many ideas, he suddenly thought of Rolex. It was simple, elegant, and had a luxurious sound. And just like that, Rolex was born. But there was a problem. People didn't trust wristwatches. They believed small watches could never be as accurate as pocket watches. To prove them wrong, Wilsdorf sent a Rolex to Switzerland for testing. In 1910, Rolex became the first wristwatch in the world to receive the Swiss certificate of chronometric precision, proving its accuracy. 4 years later, in 1914, Rolex received the highest rating from the Kew Observatory in England, an honour usually given only to marine chronometers. Rolex had won its first battle, but Wilsdorf wanted more. He didn't just want a watch that was accurate, he wanted one that could survive anything. The Rolex that swam across the English Channel. By 1926, Rolex had already proven its accuracy, but Wilsdorf wanted to push the limits even further. That year, Rolex introduced something groundbreaking, the world's first waterproof wristwatch, the Rolex Oyster. It had a special screw-down crown and a sealed case, ensuring that water, dust, and dirt could never enter the watch. This was a revolutionary invention, but Wilsdorf faced a big problem. How could he prove to the world that his watch was truly waterproof? That's when he met Mercedes Gleitzer, a young British swimmer attempting to swim across the English Channel. The English Channel is a freezing cold, rough, and dangerous stretch of water between England and France. Swimming across it was an extreme challenge, but Wilsdorf saw the perfect opportunity. He approached Mercedes and gave her a Rolex Oyster to wear during her swim. The journey was brutal. She swam for over 10 hours in icy waters, battling waves and exhaustion. When she finally reached the shore, the Rolex Oyster on her wrist was still working perfectly. Wilsdorf wasted no time. He immediately took out advertisements in newspapers, showing the Rolex Oyster surviving the impossible. People were amazed. Suddenly, Rolex was not just a luxury watch. It was a watch that could withstand nature's toughest challenges. This bold move changed everything. Rolex became known not just for elegance, but for durability and reliability. But Wilsdorf didn't stop there. He had proven that Rolex could survive water. Now he wanted to prove it could survive the highest mountains and the deepest oceans. Rolex conquers the skies and the deepest oceans. Rolex was no longer just a stylish watch. As a matter of fact, it had become the watch of explorers, adventurers, and pioneers. It was built for people who pushed the limits of human achievement. In 1933, Rolex was taken on an expedition to Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. A team of brave pilots attempted something no one had ever done before, flying over Mount Everest. The conditions were brutal, the temperature was freezing, the oxygen was thin, and the winds were incredibly strong. But despite the extreme conditions, the Rolex Oyster watches on their wrists continued working perfectly. But Rolex didn't stop at the highest peaks. It wanted to go to the deepest part of the ocean. In 1960, Rolex created a special watch called the Rolex Deep Sea Special. This watch was attached to the outside of a submarine called the Trieste, which was on a mission to reach the deepest point on Earth, the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is an unimaginable 35,797 feet, 10,911 meters, below the ocean surface. The pressure at this depth is so intense it can crush steel like paper. For hours, the Trieste submarine sank deeper and deeper into the darkness of the ocean. When it finally reached the bottom, the Rolex Deep Sea Special was still ticking, completely unaffected by the crushing pressure. This moment proved something incredible. Rolex was not just a watch, it was a machine built for the impossible. It had conquered the highest mountains and the deepest oceans. But Rolex was about to take over another world, the world of speed. The Rolex that ruled the racetracks. Rolex was not only for adventurers and explorers, it was also for champions of speed and precision. In 1963, Rolex introduced a special watch designed for race car drivers, the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona. This watch was built for high-speed racing. It had a stopwatch function, chronograph, that allowed drivers to measure their speed accurately. It was named after Daytona Beach, Florida, a place famous for high-speed racing. The Rolex Daytona quickly became the favourite watch of professional drivers, but one man made it truly legendary: Paul Newman. Paul Newman was not just a Hollywood superstar, he was also a serious race car driver. His wife Joanne Woodward gifted him a Rolex Daytona, and he wore it everywhere from movie sets to racetracks. Over time, the Paul Newman Rolex became one of the most valuable watches in history. In 2017, his personal Rolex Daytona was sold at an auction for $17.8 million, making it the most expensive wristwatch ever sold at that time. The Rolex Daytona was no longer just a tool for racing, it became a symbol of excellence, precision, and luxury. If you wore a Rolex Daytona, it meant you were part of an elite club of champions and winners. From the depths of the ocean to the peak of Everest, from crossing the English Channel to dominating racetracks, Rolex had proven itself as the ultimate watch for adventure, performance, and success. And today it remains one of the most respected and desired watch brands in the world. Why Rolex is still the king of watches? For over 100 years, Rolex has remained at the top of the watch world. Many luxury brands have come and gone, but Rolex has stayed strong. Even with new technology, smartwatches, and modern competition, Rolex still dominates. But why? What makes Rolex so special? First, Rolex does not mass produce its watches. Unlike other brands that make millions of watches every year, Rolex focuses on quality over quantity. Each Rolex watch takes about a year to make, no matter the model. Rolex carefully crafts every single watch to perfection, using the best materials, advanced technology, and strict testing methods. The company never rushes production, ensuring that every Rolex meets the highest standards of precision and durability. Second, Rolex is extremely secretive. Unlike other watch brands, Rolex never reveals how many watches it produces yearly. Some experts estimate that Rolex makes over 1 million watches per year, but no one knows for sure. This secrecy adds to the mystery and exclusivity of the brand. People always want what they can't easily get, and Rolex understands this very well. Because of this, Rolex watches are often in high demand, with long waiting lists for popular models like the Submariner, Daytona, and GMT Master II. Another reason Rolex is still the king of watches is that it holds its value better than any other watch brand. Most luxury items, including watches, lose value over time, but Rolex watches often become more expensive. Some models, like the vintage Paul Newman Daytona, have sold for millions of dollars at auctions. Many people don't even buy a Rolex to wear, they buy it as an investment. A Rolex can be passed down for generations, and in most cases it will only become more valuable. As you can see, Rolex is more than just a luxury brand. It is a story of human achievement. Whether on the wrist of a deep-sea explorer, a world leader, or an everyday person who worked hard for success, a Rolex represents dedication, excellence, and ambition. Now let's turn the question to you. If you could own any Rolex, which one would it be? Would you choose the iconic Submariner, built for divers? Or the elegant Day-Date, also known as the President's Watch? Or maybe the stylish Rolex Daytona, perfect for racing enthusiasts? And most importantly, do you think Rolex deserves to be called the king of watches? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more legendary stories about the world's most iconic brands. See you in the next video.